Welcome, ladies and gents. So, we're often talking about movies and budgets and things, of course, here on the channel. And I saw this and I thought, goodness me, this is absolutely fascinating. And it really puts it in perspective when we start talking about budgets and how these movies make money and just how astronomically high the budgets truly are, and what's initially reported versus what actually comes to fruition just is not the same thing. So, yeah, this is a shocker, and it is a shocker. So, Jurassic World, the sequels to Jurassic World, cost twice as much as their reported budgets. Twice as much. They are astronomically high. FYI, miraculously, they still supposedly turned a profit. But we'll dive into it anyway, because I think, Forbes has filings, but it's interesting nonetheless. And it just goes to show that, when you have a company like Disney that actively has been losing money from their production budgets, it's reported, it goes to show just how bad actually Disney is, because their reported budgets aren't even going to be what's actually the budget, if that makes sense. So like I said, this is all coming from Forbes. So, revealed, two latest Jurassic World movies cost $843 million for those movies. I mean, that's staggeringly high. How on earth did they cost so much money? And obviously, the go-to is, of course, the CGI, and that does make sense. I understand that. That's something which you can quantify, I believe. But Universal has revealed it spent a staggering $844.7 million on the two latest movies in its Jurassic World trilogy, which is more than twice their estimated budgets. So the lion's share of the money was spent on 2018's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which stars A-listers Bryce Dallas Howard, Chris Pratt. Well, we know that anyway. The movie had a budget of $516 million. Fallen Kingdom had a budget of over $500 million. What on earth is that? That was one of the most expensive films in history, ladies and gents. To put it into perspective, that's like Avatar 2 level. In fact, it's just behind Star Wars The Force Awakens, which had the biggest budget of all time of $533.2 million. The Force Awakens, $533.2 million. How did these companies make profit? So Fallen Kingdom cost nearly 3 times the movie's estimated $170 million production budget, which is just crazy. So last year, Jurassic World Dominion, it's shocking. Absolutely shocking. I look at this and I'm like, what are you on about? Jurassic World Dominion had 3 times its estimated production budget. Madness. Absolutely madness. So, the monster payments are disclosed in filings for 2 UK production companies which are owned by Universal and have code names so they don't raise attention with fans when they apply for permits to film on location. Now, this is how companies do this. So they create offshoot companies, production houses that then handle everything else, and they do the filings in that company. It's for 2 things, actually. It's also to shelter the main company, Universal, from, and Disney, Warner Brothers, whatever, from any financial damages as well. But also, again, to hide the production. So Dominion was made by Arcadia Pictures Limited, which is named after the rescue ship that carried the dinosaurs to safety in Fallen Kingdom. The company behind the movie is called Ancient Futures Limited, in a nod to the dinosaurs which were created in the cloning process. Fallen Kingdom was also filmed in the UK at Pinewood and the surroundings, including a forest area called Hawley Common, which doubled for the loading dock where the boatload of dinos got rescued. So the filming locations shine a spotlight on the finances of the movie. So the UK, everything has to be really transparent. Company's house, and you can just Google it, basically. You can just take a look. Now, in the UK, they had up to 25% of their costs reimbursed. But the UK provided at least 10% of the total. Well, at least 10% of the total has to be spent in that country to have up to 25% reimbursed. Annoyingly, the reimbursement is actually funded by me, the taxpayer. It can only be paid to UK companies, which is why they set up these other companies. So studios usually set up separate production companies to make each film, and they all have to file financial statements showing staff numbers, salaries, costs, and the level of reimbursement. So we have this anyway. This is the full set analysis. So analysis of 10 sets of financial statements for the Jurassic World movies show that one of the biggest single costs was paying the crew. They got a combined $12.3 million for Fallen Kingdom, while the cost came to $34 million on Dominion. Its staff numbers peaked at 454 people, which doesn't include the freelancers and self-employed workers who make up the majority of the crew. That's insane. A separate set of filings reveal that during the production period of the movie, the average hourly pay of the women on the crew was, this is bollocks, 23.8% lower than that of the men. Who cares? Women occupied 53.9% of the lowest paid jobs and 12.7% of the highest paid jobs. Again, who cares? It's redundant analysis. Absolutely redundant analysis. It always annoys me when they bring this stuff up. So, again, pretty interesting, right? But there is some numbers to kind of go into. So, just to quantify it all properly, Fallen Kingdom was $516.1 million in cost. Madness. That's genuinely madness. Because it had a reported production budget of $170 million. Jurassic World Dominion, $328.6 million. Even though it had an estimated budget of $185 million. So, not as much. You know, they obviously were like, oh, shit, need to bring that down a little bit there. Oh, goodness me. But what's the figures? What's the money? Because they obviously had to file that as well in terms of profit. So as a result, the combined film's obviously $844.7 million. But they've done really well with this as a property. So they've grossed $1.3 billion worldwide for Fallen Kingdom. Which actually, I wouldn't say gave them that much money. $218.4 million in profit, apparently. $1.3 billion. $1.3 billion only gave them $218.4 million in profit, ladies and gents. That's shit. That's so bad. Isn't it? Do you not agree? That's terrible. So when we talk about these films, you need to get these budgets down. This is why Hollywood has just become this bizarre dying machine. And I say dying, they're still turning a profit, but it has to be a wash. So Dominion, lower budget, even though they were in hotel rooms with $600 per night, which is just staggering, ridiculous. That made $235.5 million profit. I mean, look, I'd love that. I'd love that money in profit, of course, but that's not a lot when you're spending that much money and earning that much money in terms of the total gross. It's not a lot of net profit, is it? Madness. Absolutely madness. Now, obviously, that does mean that Jurassic Park will come back, obviously. But it's just an interesting deep dive into these things, I think, personally. Just goes to show how little they actually earn. Because their budgets are just astronomically high. So let me know what you think down below. Thought this was an interesting topic. Cheers, guys. Hit subscribe. Take care.